Making study notes is one way to revise for exams. This technique is one of the best ways to get information into your long-term memory. The ideas in this video apply not only to making notes for revision, but also for note-taking in lessons. However, there are a few things to keep in mind as you begin to write your study notes. Purely copying notes is the most basic form of note-making. It should be reserved only for when you are rote learning facts, that is, memorizing. As you can see in the picture, there's rows of chairs that look virtually the same. And copying is similar. You're looking at virtually the same information and you never see it from a new angle. Wherever possible, the techniques in this video should be used when note making to avoid falling into this overly simplistic method of learning. To understand note-making technique better, one has to know a bit about working memory first. I understand working memory to be like a conveyor belt that can only hold so much information. Research indicates 7 digits, 6 letters, or 5 chunks, and likely less for young people. It is active information that you can juggle and manipulate in your head. So not just solely remembering a few numbers in the short term, but actively working with them as it is retained in your working memory. So with those numbers on the screen, perhaps you have to order them from smallest to largest, or from largest to smallest, or doing an operation such as addition and subtraction. So there are two goals to achieve when using your working memory, which are one, to combine information into chunks, so then you can introduce more information on your conveyor belt. So I like to think of a magnet and iron shavings, which can be very messy and difficult to keep together. However, when you present them with a magnet, they pull together into one cohesive chunk, much like ideas in your memory. Too many ideas become difficult to remember, but if you find some way of holding those ideas together into one unit, they will stick to your memory for longer. The second goal is to get it into the long-term memory before it falls off the conveyor belt. This is where note-making comes in useful. It can help you to organize lots of bits of information into meaningful chunks. And by doing this, you can often get some of it, if not all of it hopefully, into your long-term memory. Have you ever considered the effect that good note-making can have in helping to file information into your long-term memory? So how can you best organize bits of information into meaningful chunks? After hearing information in lessons, reading your notes, handouts, or your textbook, it is best to try to combine the most important pieces of information into shorter notes. Grouping information helps with later recall. So for example, on the screen is a list of Latin nouns on the left-hand side in black. There is no order to them, and I think therefore would probably be quite difficult to remember, especially if you were having to learn more. On the right hand side, there's the same nouns, but they've been organized by endings, so by sound. You have 3 sounds, the first in purple, ending in us, and then red with and finally in green, the nouns end with a. Thankfully, your teachers most of the time will present information already organized into groups like this. Here is another example from Latin. Here are a list of adverbs. I chose these adverbs because they indicate high frequency, often, always, again, and also. I think I would try learning these together as they all have a similar meaning. This is a study note from one of our former Year 8 pupils who was making study note on the American Revolution. He decided to organize all the information he knew onto one page, so that included dates and key information on different aspects of what he might be asked relating to the American Revolution. Here is a similar example. If you're not sure how to organize information into a group, just try to find something to attach a new piece of information to. Information that free floats without having association to something else is more likely to be forgotten. So, for example, in Latin, if there's a word that you just can't remember and doesn't really belong in any group with other Latin words, then see if you can find an image, a picture, or a clue within the word that would remind you of its meaning later on. Kinch and Mans found that the act of cross-referencing between sources of information forced a learner to integrate what they read. So looking at notebooks, textbooks, remembering study groups and discussions with your teacher, all those together helped form new connections and combine it into a chunk. So it is helpful wherever possible to draw from multiple sources when you are writing up your notes, as it will likely deepen your understanding. Another point to keep in mind is writing using your own words. This is called paraphrasing. It helps again with forming a deep understanding and expressing it in a new way that is meaningful to you. Be sure to check your paraphrase notes after you have written them to be sure that you have included all the important facts. And remember to avoid using full sentences. Do try to be brief. As you write your notes, other areas of your memory system will be fired up, just like here in this image of nerve synapses joining as learning occurs. Your motor memory, that is movement memory, will be capturing meaning as you write down items. Your visual memory will remember colors and the size of writing to help with keywords and subtitles. Your spatial memory, that is recording location in your memory, might benefit from seeing notes divided into sections or drawing boxes and rings around key information. You can also experiment with the type of materials you are using. I prefer to use white blank paper to write my study notes, but some people prefer index cards. Others try to get everything written onto one page, albeit a poster or a normal A4 sized paper. Here is another example from one of our former Year 8 pupils. In this note, he's chosen to use different colors to illustrate key words. Here is another example. I hope you have learned the important role that memory plays in making good study notes and during revision. To learn more about making study notes, please carry on with the next video.